Okay, we're at public comment.
Stephen Keating and Mary Keating.
Good.
Thank you. So we were here at the last meeting in September, and I left all of the appropriate requests and material with the appropriate parties, but we have yet to receive the response that we asked for. So it was concerning the property at 7713 Wilcox. There are still some problems occurring, but first thing is that this building was approved by the department, and it's not within code as far as the layout on our side of the property. It's supposed to be 3 feet, and it's only 27 inches, so it's close to a foot shorter than it's supposed to be. So that has created problems because of the height of the building and the improper length of the area, that anybody who's doing construction work on this, stuff ends up in our yard. And I went over all of that the last time and discussed it with Steve and everybody else. But here's what I haven't gotten anything on. We wanted to be informed in advance and in writing by the Rosca company and the Village of Forest Park, including the Building and Health Codes Department, of when they're gonna do stuff that's gonna affect our property or when they need to get onto our property. Apparently, the fence is not an issue, as Steve informed us a few weeks ago, but they still have to put siding on this thing, and they're gonna have to apparently get into our property. So what I asked for last time has not come through, and I want it done, and I want it within a week. We want in a written statement guarantee that we will not be liable in any form for any accidents or damage incurred, and that the Rosca and affiliated companies, anybody they outsource, and the village be responsible, including cleanup and expenses. So if anybody gets hurt when they're putting this stuff up, and it ends up, they fall or something like that onto our property, we will not be sued. But I want it in writing, because everybody will say things and then they turn around and say, well, this is what we discussed, but that's not the totality of what we discussed. So it's only fair, I gave this in writing to everybody, so I want it, or else somebody comes on the property like they did today, and I'll call the police.
Last time you said you were gonna speak to your legal whatever, so what happened? It's been almost a month ago.
So
Has anybody even gone to see the property? It's so large, it takes up the entire lot. So what's happening? Like, when are we gonna get something that says that we're not liable? So that roof is so close to our fence that when they were working on it, they had to call the ambulances because somebody apparently fell off of there. If they fall into our yard, what prevents anybody from suing us or anything? So what are you gonna do? Like, what's the answer? We moved to this town after living in an apartment 15 years ago because we loved Forest Park. Now we've lived here for 2 years and I'm starting to really dislike the politics of this. Like, nobody asked us. Steve Glinke came and said they made a decision about a fence without even consulting us. And it's in between us and the other house, so they should have consulted with us before they just uniformly made a decision about what they were gonna do.
So now
Why buy a house here?
So now apparently they aren't gonna do a fence, but
Which is fine.
all I'm doing is I'm repeating what I read in an email to us, not an actual statement on paper.
Right, we
Signed.
want something that says we're not liable. How hard is that?
Because after that, then
We will get an
We'll
attorney,
get
and we
an
really don't wanna go that route, but come on, this is ridiculous.
in other words, this is actually saving the village from a dangerous precedent.
Right,
If this kind of stuff keeps getting approved and it happens somewhere else, there could be trouble, and I just don't want it in my yard. So they delivered drywall today, and they had a huge pile of it in front of the house, and then they drove from the curb, over the curb, diagonally across our property to crane this stuff into this house. And there's a huge gouge, it's 1 inch from the pipe that comes up for the water people to
that you
get
guys
into
all
it.
just redid, that you just paid somebody to redo on our street. and this guy could have ruined it just by driving over it. So, does that make any sense? Is that good tax money? So what is happening with the, like, you said a month ago you would advise with legal or whatever, so what are we waiting for?
So this forum is where you offer your public comment. The council does not take action, and we don't litigate everyone's individualized concern. I appreciate what you're going through. I would ask that you continue to work with Director Glinke and work with staff. If you feel like someone's trespassing on your property, then you are right to call the police. But, you know, other than that, we can't go into your particular concern at this forum. So this is not the
So
point.
where is the form for that? Where are we supposed to contact somebody? If Steve Blinky, that's fine, he can do what he can do, but he's not a lawyer, he doesn't represent the village. We want to know when we're gonna get something that releases us from liability in case something happens. That's a reasonable expectation for us as a resident of Forest Park. So if this is not the right forum to do it, then you tell us where is the right forum, and we will be there.
So like I said, the council here at this meeting, you're allowed public comment. The council itself will not address your particular issue. You've mentioned that you consider getting an attorney. If that's what you feel you need to do to protect your rights, I would say go ahead and do it.
Okay.
I'm not here, I can't give you legal advice. I can't give you legal advice, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean,
You
we've
can't
turned
even
in
give us
our,
advice?
we've turned in our paperwork and requests.
Yeah.
Steve got that. It was passed to him.
Right.
I was called and I was told, talk to Steve. I've talked to Steve.
Yeah.
But we still don't have the papers. I want signed papers so that we have something to stand on. I don't want somebody coming to us in the middle of the night and saying, oh, you know, this
Joe
guy's gonna
Wolf
sue
fell off
you
our
because he
roof.
fell off the roof or something. So,
Yeah, so you're saying
Please
that
help.
the village can't do anything for us? So we're residents, we pay our taxes, we try to be good citizens, and this is the response we get?
I would ask you to continue talking with Director Glinke, and we'll work it out the best we can.
all right.
Yeah.
Gail Reese.
Signed papers.
Okay. Gail Reese.
Hi, my name's Gail Reese. I've lived in Forest Park for 7.5 years. Pretty happy years until recently. In March of 2022, I approached this very board about public safety, traffic safety in my neighborhood at Randolph and Marengo. I asked and went to several traffic safety meetings this past year. I asked for a flashing crosswalk at my corner of Marengo and Randolph. They use Randolph like it's the Indianapolis 500 motor speedway. And it's really out of hand. After waiting a year, I went to the Grant White this last March debate, and I cornered Rory. And Rory passed me on to Ryan. And Ryan invited me to my first traffic safety meeting. And I went to the first traffic safety meeting, which was March 16th. There wasn't enough people there for a quorum, so it got pushed to April. I went in April, and I discussed what was going on, and Mahim, who sits on the board, lives in my neighborhood, and he agreed, it's problematic corner. It's like the main corridor between Forest Park and the Green Line and Metro tracks. A lot of foot traffic. So, they said that they would take it under advisement, they were gonna look at it and do a survey or get back to me. So when I didn't hear the following month, I went back in June 5th. Same conversation, they decided that they would put up signs, paint the crosswalks, paint the curbs. Now, 4 months later, nothing has been done. Snow will be flying in a month. It's been 18 months since I first approached the village about this problem. And some of you were on the board at that time. Shame on you. Now, let's fast forward to September 5th. My daughter works at Progress Center. She lives her life between a walker and a wheelchair. She was on her lunch break from Progress Center, wanted some ice cream at McDonald's across the street. She got to the marked crosswalk. The first car yielded to her. She waved and she proceeded across the street. The car behind the first car went around her and hit her, knocked her into the street. She laid there, she couldn't get up. The young woman who hit her never got out of the car to say, "Are you okay? I'm so sorry." Anything, nothing. Now imagine each of your kids in that crosswalk at moment of impact.
See it all the time.
Y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself. And the young woman stayed in her car until the police arrived. She didn't get a ticket. He took her information, made a report, sent her on her way. My daughter's being loaded into the ambulance to go to the emergency room at Loyola. The first thing they do is draw her blood and do a blood panel to make sure she's not on drugs or alcohol. What about the driver that hit her? I'd like to know why. According to the Illinois statute, the right-of-way laws at crosswalks, Illinois Vehicle Code 625 ILCS5, right-of-way laws, Section 11-1002, pedestrians right-of-way, Section D. Whenever any vehicle is stopped in a marked crosswalk or any unmarked crosswalk at an intersection, it's permitted to permit a pedestrian to cross the roadway. The driver of any other vehicle approaching from the rear shall not overtake, and they shall not pass a stopped vehicle. She didn't get a ticket. Why was my daughter tested for drugs and alcohol when the lady behind the vehicle was not? Was she on her cell phone? Why were there no tickets issued? To my count, there should have been at least 2 or 3. In talking with small business owners in the area, they tell us that there has been 7 to 8 pedestrian vehicle accidents at that crosswalk in the last 2 years. Why is the village not concerned about traffic safety? After all, it's proven I'm 18 months and I'm still waiting for that crosswalk, right outside my front door. Hubert Humphrey once said, "The moral test of a government is how that government treats those who are in the dawn of their life, the children. Those who are in the twilight of their life, the elderly," that's me, "and those who are in the shadows of life, the sick, the needy, and the handicapped. This village has failed us. History will not be kind." And incidentally, the young woman who hit her works for Edwards Hospital, the one that showed no empathy or humanity, left my daughter laying in the middle of the street. Isn't that horrible? And I hope every Forest Parker calls this village.
Stephen Backman.
Stephen Backman, 329 Burkhardt Court. Let me collect my thoughts here for a minute. What is going on with the delinquent properties at 7713 Wilcox and 838 Circle? To me, it looks as though nothing has been done to stop the construction at either site, even though both projects do not conform to our village building code and are essentially illegal operations. I have sent messages to the interim village manager and to you, Mayor Hoskins, and received nothing other than an initial thank you. I have to say that even during the 20-year reign of Mayor Anthony Calderon, if I reached out, I got a reply or at least an acknowledgement. So far, I've gotten nothing here. It's an interesting thing that these illicit projects move forward without any legally required protocol. In real life, a sudden discovery of a building being built out of compliance would immediately point to wrongdoing by the builder, architect, or owner. They would be, in terms of zoning law, creating their own hardship. Shame on them for their malfeasance. But with these projects being green-lighted by Director Glinke, who is not enforcing the building code, we now have a new zoning term. I call it a Glinke-created hardship. A real black eye for Forest Park and ultimately us and the taxpayers, and as we've heard earlier, the neighbors involved. Where does the village go from here? I perceive this as uncharted territory. Maybe a plan of what to do when the head of the building department screws up is elusive. And that's why I haven't heard anything. Commissioner Nero, you've had 2 weeks to get up to speed on this rat's nest. Maybe you can enlighten us with some sort of a progress report, please. Thank you.
Samantha Abernathy. Sorry.
Hi, Samantha Abernathy, 635 Marengo. I'm going to bring up one thing real quick and then I have a completely different subject to discuss. First, casket races was fantastic. I have a 4-year-old and he loves trick-or-treating on Madison. I am here hoping to encourage everybody to close down Madison for the Christmas event. It is so hard to push a stroller through those crowds, especially by Fiore, when you have to go around and then if your kid's not in the stroller, he's running in the street. It's really hectic. And Christmas last time, I remember he got scared of the Grinch and like dodged him and I was like grabbing him off the curb. It's a little chaotic and I think it'd be a really good idea to shut down traffic during the Christmas events. Okay, completely different subject now. I have been, so as most of you know, there is a large population of people living at police stations in Chicago. There are currently about 150 living at the 15th District Police Station, and that's not in the station. Some people are in the station, and in there they can sleep on the hard floor. A lot of them are in tents, and in about 1 week, we're gonna be hitting freezing temperatures. And I just feel like this is a humanitarian issue that our village should consider doing something to help. I know tonight there is a group at the Oak Park board meeting telling them to do something. They have more specific ideas than I have. I'm kind of just here to say, do anything, and if you need ideas, I can chew your ear off. And also, since I know this has been a contentious issue of immigration policies and all, but it kind of doesn't matter why the people are here. There are dozens of people like 2 miles away, babies, literally like a nursing mother arriving in socks. Like 9 p.m. on a Saturday night. Like, that's awful. And if that was happening to one person, you would say, oh my God, come into my home, but it's happening to hundreds every day. So I just think that we should do more. And on the other side of that, I think even if the village is not able to doesn't have the political will to wade into this, I think the town would do well to expand their efforts for houseless populations in the area. The influx of migrants has put a strain on all of the systems that are usually in place. And as we saw last winter, was pretty rough. A lot of people living on the blue line. I live near the end of the blue line, so there are often a lot of people. I know last year there were mobile showers and things like that, and I think this city should do more this year just to prepare for that influx this winter.
Thank you, Ms. Abernathy.